Right, welcome back to the All-Star Prizes podcast. Unfortunately, it's just the one Matt you get today. Matt is off dealing with some other bits and bats, but listen, I'm more than capable of doing this by myself. Plus, I've got two guests today. So, very, very massive warm welcome to Marcus Pereira and Jody Hopwood-Fox of Mean and Clean. Jody, Marcus, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
So, I'll be honest, guys, I've wanted you on probably since the inception of the podcast because, and I'm not just saying this to blow smoke up your ass because you stood here in front of me, you were both a massive inspiration in my journey to sobriety, because it's very, very rare when you see content on social media that's so down to earth when it comes to sobriety and so relatable.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, tell us what it is you do.
Well, what we do, we've both got a massive backstory, behind all this.
Yeah.
Both struggled with addiction ourselves. I with drug abuse, Jody with alcoholism. But we'll sort of get into all that a bit later on. But we founded a way to help people through the way that we got clean and sober, and we found that what we do, it helps people differently to what's out there. We sort of bridge the gaps between what the NHS can and can't offer, the waiting times, the lack of support, everything like that. We just found all the holes in them systems and we just said, right, let's fill them, give people immediate help, open up a 24-hour helpline for people, basically, to, when they feel like they're going to use, they can contact us. Plus, we're two people that have been through it themselves, because 9 times out of 10, when you go to get help for substance misuse, you end up talking to somebody that's
never had,
never been through it. They're sat there in a suit and tie, they've got a degree, and all they're doing is, just taking notes, and there's no real solution that's kind of offered. So we sort of studied his own journeys and said, right, well, this is how we did it, and it were nothing like what the professionals would advise.
Yeah.
So we were like, right, there's something different here, but we never intended it to sort of get to where it got to.
We didn't think, did we? No, like we said, obviously I've got a background of personal training, exercise, and that is the biggest thing for me to where I've got. And Marcus sort of came to me, didn't you? I was 6 months sober, I believe, and just basically said, help me. And I just started this lifestyle PT plan. So it was basically a training session and a talk after. So we'd go train and then we'd have a chat, have a coffee about addiction, recovery, things like that. And we sort of hit it off really well, didn't we? And I knew Marcus from years ago, but not as a good friend as he is now. And we just sort of we kept plodding on, and Marcus was just banging to his recovery, banging to the gym, really. Not obsessive, but very. It was everything was to the point as an addictive personality.
It's weird you should say obsessive though, because I don't know about you guys, but when you've been an addict and you obsess, like obviously for me it was cocaine. I obsessed over cocaine. Now since I've been in recovery, I almost find myself having to find something else to obsess over.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
I always talk about addiction as it's an energy, right? And it's completely down to you where you channel that energy.
Yep.
Right? If you we get quite a lot of shit online basically because we post up that we we compete in fitness racing and bodybuilding and all that kind of stuff, and people are like, you've just cross-addicted from using drugs to fitness and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. What do you want us to do? Do you want us to sit at home, right? Most people, lazy takeaways every night, no ambition, just completely just not wanting to make anything of themselves. Is that how it should be done? And anybody that takes the recovery seriously will tell you that, you've got this thing that you need to put it somewhere.
It's like a dog you need to feed almost.
100%.
Yeah.
You need to.
And I think that, and do you know what that analogy comes from? I was in my journey, I was really lucky to be accepted into counselling with Forward Leeds. and again, I think I went into that a little bit skeptical because, like you say, you know, you're full of shame. You know, you're probably at your lowest ebb at this point when you're going to seek these services. So you're like absolutely shitting yourself, thinking, "Am I going to have to sit in?" Like you said, you know, with greatest respect, in front of some toff who has got absolutely no idea what drug addiction is.
Yeah.
And I remember walking into Forward Leeds and first meeting Joanne Wilson, who I will be forever indebted to. She was an ex-heroin addict, and instantly that disarmed me. But that analogy that I've just used there is one that stuck with me in my recovery because, like she said, you've got 2 dogs, and which the one that gets biggest is the one that you feed.
Yeah.
So if that addiction's your dog and you feed it, it's just going to get bigger and badder and worse and worse. And yeah, like we were just saying, it's that whole finding another obsession almost. And you have to do, and you know, you might not ever get out of that mindset. You might be, you know, like for you boys, you might be obsessed with fitness till the day you die.
Yeah.
But it's like you say, for someone who's been an addict, it's far, far, far better that you're addicted to that and you're obsessed with that.
1,000,000%. But I think you talk to majority of people that have gone through addiction, lost everything, and I can guarantee now that them people, they know they've got something special about themselves.
Yeah.
They know, and it tends to be people that have got the most potential, or it's people that have achieved great things in their life, and then, you know, sort of one cycle of the life ends. So let's, you know, take professional rugby players, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You see it all the time, you know, or footballers, you know, they get to the pinnacle of their career, they live for sport, and then, you know, when they get dropped or injury, bang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's when it all starts going downhill.
Yeah. That's it, 1,000,000%. But then you take somebody that, like myself, I always knew that I had potential about myself, because when I was younger, you know, I was 18-year-old running security companies. I was competing with people, you know, that had multi-million-pound door firms, and I was going and getting business for these companies, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, these landlords and landladies and contractors are buying into me, not this company.
Absolutely.
So I was like, right, set up myself. And that's what I did. So I was always entrepreneurial, and, you know, I wanted a family young and all that kind of stuff. I got everything. I had everything I wanted. But through lack of life experience, you start earning money at a very young age. And
I'm smiling because it just sounds so familiar.
Yeah, that's it.
So let's talk a little bit about sort of both your upbringings then, because I know one thing I'm a massive advocate of is people being aware that, because there is obviously the stigma attached to drug use, and, you know, people think, oh, it's people who've come from fucking down and out families who've had abusive, you know, they might have had abusive parents, or you know, whatever they've had, you know, they might have had a bit of a shitty upbringing. Yeah, people like that do get into drugs, but similarly, on the flip side, there's people like me who came from a family with both parents, who earned good money, who always wanted the best for me. Like, never, you know, my parents never put a foot wrong in terms of their parenting of me. And, like, I could never, ever turn around and say, oh, well, blame it on anything my parents did.
Yeah.
Like, my upbringing was fantastic, but yet I still managed to find my way onto that path. Yeah. How did it sort of pan out for the both of you? When did it sort of start? When did it start with you?
For me, I lost my dad at a young age, around 4-year-old, which at the time I was too young to understand. And also my mum left before he died, left us both. Left the house, left us both. So I was with my dad. All I knew at that time was my dad. Obviously I didn't think of my mum too much. And then unfortunately my dad passed away, and then my mum came back for me. So my upbringing has been tough, but I wouldn't still use that as an excuse as to why.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I started drinking really at a normal age, what you'd say normal, 15, 16,
15, 16,
you know, bit of Diamond White down woods with my mates. And I started drinking, and then I sort of backed off it because I was playing football for Huddersfield Town under 15s. And then I got into Thai boxing. I did that for 4 years. Lived in Thailand for a year. So a lot of my late teens to early 20s were taken up with sport, with being good, positive, brilliant. Didn't wasn't bothered about drink at all. And then came back from Thailand. I think I had about 14 fights. And then I bad knee and I retired from Thai boxing. That were it. That were Thai boxing done. So back into the gym. Started doing track cycling. Started to drinking a little bit, going to watch Huddersfield. Don't laugh. Unfortunately,
someone's got to.
I know. Wish I hadn't bothered. And you know, like you would, Saturday at football, a few beers.
Yeah.
Every weekend, in control, fine. Didn't drink Sundays, just Saturdays, and then it started to creep in a little bit more. So more matches on. Be Super Sunday, have a few. Tuesday night at home, and it started to just creep and creep and creep. And then I was pretty much drinking on a daily basis, a few cans, not getting wrecked, a few cans. And then it got to a point where my mum passed away. Me and my mum rebuilt our relationship really strong. My stepdad who raised me, fantastic, brilliant. You know, they couldn't put a foot wrong. My childhood, apart from the early trauma, was fantastic. I didn't want for anything. I didn't get everything. You know, I did a paper round for 4 years, getting £5.50 a week. You know, and I was learned and brought up how I think you should be.
Yeah.
And then my dad got poorly mentally, got Alzheimer's, and my mum was caring for him. She had COPD. So I was sort of overlooking them and looking after them a little bit. And then my mum passed away. So in COVID as well, so I couldn't see her. I couldn't say goodbye. It was a very, very tough time. And I was having to break the news to my dad, but who kept forgetting every 5 minutes. Where's your mum?
That must be awful.
So the drink was there then, and it wasn't like beers, it was vodka. It was really, I started drinking heavily, 1 litre of vodka a day, 2 litres, you know, and it got to a point where, cut a long story short, I ended up drinking three litres a day from the minute I got up in a bottle like that, just sipping on it, as if it was a drink of water, you know, and that was just to get me through what I thought, self-medicate.
Yeah.
You know, so it got to a point, and it obviously was causing issues with my relationship and my kids. I've got 3 kids. I weren't, when I'm saying I was drinking 3, I weren't smashed. You wouldn't know.
So you were sort of like a functioning.
I was very functioning.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know. My partner didn't know. She for odd times she did.
So she knew you. So at this point, your partner probably knew you liked to drink on a weekend, but that's maybe all she thought it was.
She didn't know I was drinking through a week 2 litres of vodka. You know.
Wow, that's some going.
So that's how my body got used to it, and obviously it's not a good thing.
No.
You know, people will be like, "Well, that's." We should, you know, some people.
Absolutely.
But it got to a point where I had a massive row. This is going to the rock bottom, and I took an overdose. I took 57 paracetamol, 10 tramadol, washed down with 2 litres of vodka. I drove my car from Wakefield to where I was working at the time to Huddersfield with the intention of dying at my parents' old house. I got to the house. Obviously, my dad wasn't there. He's in a care home, and I sat there for a bit, and then I decided to go to the pub where I had my mum's wake. Went to get a pint. My card declined, so I thought Vix has stopped it. That's my wife, and I just drove. And I drove to a reservoir nearby. I got in there. Got in there. With too cold. Couldn't do that. And I can laugh about it now because, I could not do that then. I was thinking, and so I got in the car and I crashed my car to try that way, made sure that obviously I didn't want to hurt anybody else. Yeah. It was a road where there was nobody there. Wrote my car off. I was fine. I thought, what can I do here? So I drove the car as far as I could. Didn't have money, did I? So my card stopped, and I pulled up and I drove it until it ran out of diesel. Got in the back of the car thinking, well, with what I've taken, hopefully I'll die in the back of my car in my sleep. And this was like, I was hoping for this. This is what rock
genuinely
bottom.
wanting it.
This is I was wanting it more than anything. I couldn't imagine my life. I couldn't imagine living that I wanted to die.
Past that point.
That was past it, done. And I was laid in the back. It was Scirocco, so bucket seats in the back. It was so uncomfortable. Put thing down. So I was trying to get comfy in there, and I think I nodded off for a bit, and I thought, this bright white light.
God.
This God.
I've done it. I've done it at last.
I've got to the right gates. I'm at the right place. Right, well, police.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Police shining through. They've been looking for me. I were all over Facebook, all over social media. They've been looking for me. They found me at 3 a.m. They've been looking since 10:30 that morning. Couldn't find me. Good at that. Good at hide and seek. Always were as a kid, you know what I mean? I'd never find my dad like, you know, but you know, and I laugh about it now. I can laugh about it now. I can laugh, right? And I'm sure my mum said that once, that my dad had playing hide and seek. And yeah, so the police got me. They were really concerned. They didn't even breathalyse me. Nothing like that. They were just concerned for my welfare. They took me straight back home. I was so embarrassed I had 9 million missed calls, 100 million messages, and obviously my wife worrying there sick, the kids. And I ended up in what's called the Beckling Centre in Leeds.
Yeah, I know it well.
I was there for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, you're only meant to be there for 3 days.
Yeah. And it's not a nice place.
No, it wasn't. But I felt I needed that to do a bit of soul searching to see what I wanted from my life, everything. I wrote everything down, what I wanted, what I didn't want. I got out of there begrudgingly. My wife took me back home. She still didn't. Obviously, I've had to build trust.
Yeah.
Obviously, as we do as addicts. And from that moment on, I'm now 1 year, 9 months sober.
Congratulations, mate.
Thank you. And life has just gone from what was a black and white 1950s TV to the best HD TV you can get. And like we say, life is HD when you're clean and sober.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we have as tough days. We do. There's not a time coming into Leeds. Just triggers everywhere, pubs, bars. There's not a time or a day or probably an hour goes by where I don't think about a drink. But I have plans that we've used, structures in place, and the right people around me to.
And that's all. That's all you can. That's all you can do. It's preventative.
Every day, one day at a time. Yeah, one day at a time. For today, I will stay sober.
Yeah,
that's all I do.
You'll tackle tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow will be whatever tomorrow is.
Fantastic story, mate, and I'm really pleased that you are where you are now.
Thank you,
Marcus. Your story sounds a little bit more like mine.
Yeah.
I know cocaine was your vice as well as it was mine. And it might shock people when I say this, and I don't say it to many people. I'm quite open and honest about my struggles with addiction. But very, very few people I'm this candid with. And I can't remember who it was. It must have been someone really fucking close, though, for me to say this. Because someone said to me not too long ago, obviously we were talking about my sobriety journey, and they said, I bet you're fucking loving it now it's gone. I'm like, mate, I didn't want to give it up in first place.
Yeah, that's it.
He went, what? Like, mate, I'd kill for one now.
Yeah, that 100%.
I'm not gonna sit here and bullshit anybody. Yeah. This is and this is why I think being honest in recovery is the best fucking policy, because if you subdue all these feelings, eventually it's just gonna bubble back up again.
One thing we say to our people,
just be fucking honest.
Because we're not honest as addicts, are we?
No, absolutely not. No, I mean, and a big part of addiction is lying.
Of course it is.
And I tell you what, lying is fucking tiring.
Yeah,
it is mentally tiring. But anyway, Mark, sorry, we digress. So let's talk a little bit more about your journey and your battles that you've faced so far.
Well,
don't know how to say.
No, because when I tell it, it's like something that fucking Motley Crue would have done. Do you know what I mean?
Should have been a rock star, man.
Yeah, that was it. Well, I posted my journey from day one, when I contacted you.
That's what you wanted to do, innit?
Yeah, I posted for accountability because a lot of people around my area know who I am.
Yep.
Right, whether they like me or they don't, couldn't give a shit. But what I wanted to do was sort of break this stigma around who a drug addict is and who could become a drug addict. And, you know, basically document my recovery from start to finish. It shocked a few people. A lot of people knew. Day 0, I posted up on Facebook, I'm a crackhead. That was it. And the response were just massive. You know, at this point, I'd lost my Mrs. D. I didn't lose my kids, you know what I mean? I lost my family as a whole.
Yeah, that family unit broke up.
Yeah, massively. And it had a massive impact on kids as well. You know, we're back at my mum's in spare room, and, you know, God bless her, because she... you know, we're good as addicts at putting peer pressure on people. Well,
the best.
If I can't use here, then I'm gonna go use in a crack den.
Yeah.
So they're always gonna want you there, you know, where they know you are, where you're safe.
Yeah.
But my mum's biggest fear were walking into that bedroom one day, me being dead.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She prepared herself for that shit. But I think, like you were saying, the lying. I think you get to a point where rock bottom isn't just you've lost everything, you're sick of your own shit.
Yeah.
You know, you are sick of, you don't even know what's true anymore.
Yeah.
You've told 15 different accounts of one story and you don't even know what's fucking true.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And when you get to that point where you think, I can't remember, you know.
Every lie.
Believe your own lies, don't
Every
you?
lie as an addict is like, imagine you've got a million sort of lengths of rope in front of you, right? And every lie you tell, you've got to tie one around your legs.
Yeah.
And at some point, you can't fucking walk anymore because
No,
you've tied yourself up in that much lies, and it's like Marcus said, you don't even know what
you've said.
You don't know what you've said from one person to the next, and as that person talks to that person, and
the bad thing about drugs is you cannot separate fact from fiction.
No.
Do you know what I mean? You can't. What a friend of mine once told me, he says, you look at a wall, blank wall for long enough, you'll see whatever you want to see.
Yeah.
Drugs give you that. I mean, but this is sort of going off at point of how it all sort of started. But me and Jody saw a common theme between us both, right? Very, very similar people in his mindsets, addictive personalities, similar past traumas, that kind of stuff, you know, sort of like big moments in his lives, life-defining moments. I lost my dad when I was younger. He was 21 years old, I was 4 years old. He died in a car crash. Now, we had previous with heroin and cannabis. Hurt his back at work. He was an apprentice electrician, I believe. Got on these strong, you know, prescription medication as it always starts. And this is one thing as well. Addiction doesn't always start in a nightclub or a kitchen. It can start in a doctor's office.
Yeah.
It can start in a GP's office, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had Becky Joyce from Almost Street Angels on the very first episode, and like she said the same thing. She started off, her addiction issue started off with something that she was prescribed at a GP's.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a backstreet dealer can be thrown in jail for it. But a GP that can prescribe you, and they know know better than anybody what's going on. But as soon as they see you got an issue, they stand back and go, "Not to do with me."
Yep.
So what's going to happen when you take that prescription medication away from an addict?
They're going to find something.
They're going to find something. They're going to replace it, and then you go back to them and say, "I'm an addict," and they go, "Right now, because you're not on my drug and you're on crackhead Dan's drug, right? I'm going to give you methadone, or I'm going to pump you full of antidepressants, or I'm going to give you very limited actual helpful information. I'm just going to dose you up to eyeballs with a different drug."
Yeah.
That we see it so many times, and I've gone in at doctors, I've gone in on, you know, recovery services before for simply just putting a prescription in front of somebody.
Yeah.
I was on cocaine, crack, and crystal meth, right? I needed nothing to come off that. I just needed that, and some bollocks about me.
Yeah.
That was it, right? And just to identify, you know, that spirit I had and pull it out of there.
What was your rock bottom moment then? Because obviously we heard about Jody and his fucking mad game of hide and seek.
Still had headache after them tablets. You know what I mean? Still had headache after them.
So it were To be fair, I think rock bottom is an accumulation, isn't it? It's everything at once, you know.
And I think it's different things to different people as well.
It is. It literally. But we all have that moment where we look back and we go, shit.
That was the eureka moment.
Yeah, that was the Homer Simpson in Simpsons movie moment when he has that epiphany. That's what we all have. But for me, I mean, so going back, obviously lost my dad, grew up. I've got a stepdad, done a fantastic job. You know, he's been with my mum since I were, 2 years old. He's always been a big part of my life. He don't know how much of a big part of my life is because our relationship with each other were a bit, stepdad, stepson. It's always going to be kind of thingy. But as I were growing up, I like, who's going to teach me to be a man? So I've always sort of looked for that North Star, that father figure type thing. And I always say to people, now, if you've got your dad about, don't underestimate, having a strong male figure about. Yes, a mum is massively important, right? They're both as important.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like that. I felt like something was missing when I was younger, with my dad, with my stepdad, and But now as a man, it's like that bond's never been better. And half of it were me being a little bastard, to be honest. But it was that, and then I was between ages of 9 and 11 years old. I'd suffered sexual abuse by 2 lads who lived at Endett Street, a lot older than me. They were in high school, I were in mock primary. And it happened to 6, 7 of us. And it only came out about me around school. So I got bullied for this.
Yeah.
People quite, calling me gay and calling me this, which then as a young lad, that messes with your head because you're like, am I gay? Do you know what I mean?
You start second guessing yourself.
Yeah, and the thing is, you'll be shocked at some of the stuff I talk about, but I talk about it openly because these words now might save
somebody else.
And it is so big and it's such a common thing. Do you know what I mean? You as a kid, you don't understand it. Like you're being told this is normal and blah, blah, blah. But then when you look back at it now, you know it were wrong.
Yeah.
But because I didn't think anything of it, it happened and I kept my mouth shut. It happened to other people. And then when it happened to this other lad, who later on went on to become a police officer, he went the right way about things. I went the wrong way, but we'll get there. But when it happened to him, that's when the guilt kind of set in and I was still young.
Yeah.
I must have been about 12 years old, 13 when I finally spoke about it.
And at a time when probably you just sort of discovering feelings as well.
Yeah.
Hormones. And
well, people are calling me gay at school and stuff, and I'm like, mate, I'm in your bird's DMs. How am I gay? Do you know what I'm saying? It was like, that's how it was. I'm sorry if our lass is watching this, right? I'm sorry.
He won't really. Didn't even have phones then.
No. Well, MSN. I've got an addy.
I can't say, oh, geez.
But there were that to contend with at school. The bullying
which one?
And everything like that. It wasn't ideal. I grew up knowing full well my dad had addiction issues. When I were younger, my real dad Rick, who passed away. So all these things, like a lot of things, are happening to me, like as I'm growing up, and it's a lot of information to digest as a young lad. And I sort of went on this thing. I think when I got to an age where we all get to that age where we can backchat dad and dad won't say out back.
Yeah.
Right. That's when we found his bollocks. Right. So when I kind of got to that age, I was going out with my mates and stuff because I was a popular lad. I got along with everybody.
Yeah.
And I'd be going out underage drinking, that kind of thing. Substance wasn't really a thing at that point because I always sort of knew, my dad did it, don't do it type thing. But there were always intrigued, like what did he see in it? What did he see? How did he feel? What were going through that guy's mind? Because he wasn't there to show me the way. I wanted to understand who he was. Yeah. So a big turning point for me were I was at this underage, like teeny bopper night where they were serving alcohol in Cass. And,
good old Cass.
Good old Cass. And this lad and his mates had been bullying me about the sexual abuse, and his dad pulled me and he says, look, next time anybody says out to you like that, he says, I want you to fucking hit him. I says, you what? He says, hit him. He says, you boxed, haven't you? And I did a box. I did taekwondo, kickboxing. I were quite skillful, but I never actually wanted to put it to use with them.
Yeah.
I never thought I can actually use this to look after myself. And this was a dangerous moment, because as soon as he told me that, the next day, somebody said something to me. Bang. I've just discovered, like in that scene in Green Street, where he gets it and he realised you're not made of fucking glass. That was it. I was like, these can do that. Do you know what I mean? And then that was it. So I was kind of on a mission growing up then to become something for the sake of other people. And I think,
So you almost like wanted to be feared almost, or
I just wanted people to know they couldn't fuck with me, and I think that was a defence mechanism that I sort of like a bit of a barrier I wanted to put in front of me, you know. So I started working on doors, you know, a big famous nightclub in Pontefract, Big Fellas, you know, I worked on there. And the way I got that job was quite funny, because I was working on Green Dragon door, and there were 5 lads kicking shit out of one of the mates, so there were 5 on 1, and all door staff are just looking like, you know, not getting involved. And to me, I've got a model compass, so I'm like, nah. So I get involved. And then landlady at pubs hanging out window going, "You're too violent, get gone." As I'm doing that, owner of the Big Fellas, Big Tony's walking across, and he went, "Over here, start tonight." And that was it, you know. But people would purposely come up, because they always say, "Don't work on your own doorstep," and I typically did. Yeah. So there were people that would come up that, you know, I'd support what I was doing, but there were people that had wanted that come up just to get it purposely. So I kind of formed this reputation, been part of this, you know. And at the time, the door team around Pontefract were quite ruthless. No, compared to back in day. You know what I mean?
But by modern standards,
when they were proper boils, like by modern standards, we'd, you know, when you saw us coming dressed in all black, game over. But you know, it took a certain type of person to work that door, and I was like the Jack Russell. They call me Biggest Jack Russell, because I was small, you know, and I was just a yapper, but I was first man in always. Yeah. So I'd sort of built that reputation of you don't fuck with me type thing. And then, obviously, got with D. My missus, I'd known D for, over 10, 12 years anyway, from school. We kind of decided early doors we wanted to have a baby. So just as I started working at Big Fellas, got with her, and then I left Big Fellas, and I was working with a cousin doing like groundworks and stuff. And my brother was going out with a lass whose dad was the chairman of a motorcycle club. And I went up there, and from that point, it was like I got introduced to a whole new world, a secret world that nobody really knows exists.
Yeah, it's one of those. I know we've spoke about it off camera, and it's something. I mean, there's documentaries about all these various different gangs and organisations, and so secretive. I bet it must have felt pretty cool to be a part of it.
It did, but the way this might get me in trouble, but it's quite funny. The way I describe it looking back, right, is like seeing a very attractive woman, right? A bit of that.
Yeah.
As soon as you get inside it, it's infected. that is
fucking great analogy.
I'm good for them. I've got a book of them at home. I write them all myself. But
reading it today.
But that's it. It literally. It went from one club to another club until I got into the big boy ranks.
Yeah.
I started prospecting in the big boy club, and from that point it would just never be at home. You know, I was never at home, and a part of that was because I had access to drugs and stuff.
So is that where the drugs started then?
That's where it really started.
Had it started slightly before that, being outdoors? Because I mean, I know I've worked in.
Oh God, yeah.
I've worked in pub trade. I know exactly what it's like. I've worked in pubs where my mates were bouncers, and I'd be on bar and I'd give them the eye, and they'd follow someone into the toilet, and these bouncers would just take it off them and slide it to me.
Yeah, that's it. The one that I think, 90% at the time, I were on doors. It were a case of, we were using until I got my own company. Then it was like, no, you can't do that shit. Do you know what I mean? You can't affect my income. But when I was working for someone else, it was just a case of bang. But obviously, the first time I ever touched it were the day that I left high school. It was ketamine in Park, but then I'd not really touched out for a while. Went through a phase. I call it a phase when I was on doors. And then, obviously, when I joined, club, it were like, bang, every weekend. And then it got to a point where it were every day. And then it were going from a little 0.3 bag of cocaine a day to half a gram a day. Then it were a gram a day. And then it went to 3 to 4 grams a day. And then crack got involved. Then crystal meth got involved. And I were running all three.
At the same time?
Yeah, and in about 2 months I spent about 20 to 25 grand on all that.
God, that is sickening.
Yeah, so when that money landed in my account, it were like, as a family, we were like, right, this is going to be...
It's a life-changing sum of money, that.
Yeah, but even I knew, and everybody around me knew, that we all got to a point where people stopped getting pissed off with me because of the drug taking, because they understood that I was ill.
Yeah.
And they understood that I had it in me to get better, but I just had to come away from that social group of people. And it don't mean that, not... A lot of it is... I can't sit here and blame other people for me taking the drugs.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No,
because...
and I think I'd say a large majority of addicts can probably... Have probably said those exact words as you. I mean, and I've got, as soon as you said that, there's people who come to mind...
Yeah.
Now, and they're not bad people. They just weren't right for me at the time.
Yeah.
And one thing I will always call out is they probably don't have your best interests at heart.
No, they don't.
I had friends quite similar to you, to be fair. Groups of friends, not just one group of friends, sort of several different groups. So you sort of. I think in my heart of hearts, I knew I only hung around with them, or I knew they only really wanted me around because we enabled each other. Like, if we were together, it was a reason. Prior to... I like most people, started off, like yourselves, just casually.
Yeah.
I got introduced. I used to DJ quite young, so I got... Obviously, the drugs and music scene sort of went hand in hand, and I sort of dabbled from me being about 16... Sort of like, took take it or leave it. Went off to Japan for about 18 months, 2 years. Obviously, whenever a thing. Came back, and then the party scene crept back in. I were very much, just doing it on a weekend, Saturday, or every other Saturday.
Yeah.
Then it got to every Saturday. And then it were every Saturday, it went half a gram of bash. It were half a gram of flake. And then just that journey just goes up and up and up. And like yourself, you have sort of moments in your life where you've maybe just not coped with something.
Yeah.
Like you said, Marcus, a coping mechanism. I had lots of stuff going on. I'd always, probably throughout my late teens, early 20s, I were always a party man. I were always life and soul at party. Everybody always wanted me around, a bit like you, popular lad, popular with everybody, and everybody wanted you around. And then, like you say, sort of towards my mid to late 20s, I'd built up a really successful business. I were doing really, really well for myself, and it was just the extra money. I could justify it.
Yeah.
But I'd gone from having responsibilities to be... Well, I still had responsibilities, but I didn't have anybody to answer to.
Yeah.
And I had a fish and chip shop that wasn't always busy. So I'd always have a bagging shop. If it got quiet, I'd just scoot off it back. Right, do a couple, but then that'd be me for the night then. Because like every coke addict knows, coke's like Pringles.
Yeah, that's it.
Once you pop, you can't stop.
Yeah.
And I was starting earlier and earlier and earlier in the day. And then it got to a stage at that point where my wife said, look, enough's enough now. Like, you're killing yourself. It's not once a blue moon with your mates now, it's every day. You're stopping. Yeah. Left it for a couple of years, were relatively happy, went to work, sort of lost the business through it all. Went to get a normal job, and then, like you say, trauma starts creeping in. So sort of my wife starts getting ill. She's got disabilities, so she gets worse and worse. Then I have a massive life trauma about 2 and a bit years ago. I got really ill, ended up with sepsis, nearly dying in hospital, lost part of my bowel, so I've got a colostomy bag. And again, like you say, all these different things that you're trying your best to overcome. And in reality, I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm a very intelligent lad. And, you know, much like yourselves, you'll probably be kicking yourself now thinking, why did I choose to deal with it that way?
Yeah.
And I think it got to I think just before I got hit rock bottom was when I was in sort of still recovering from having the stoma, and I was like you said, expert at hiding it. Like you, Jody, like you said, you could drink 3.5 litres. I would literally plan my day around the coke. Yeah. So it's like I'd encourage the wife and kids to go out for the day.
Yeah.
And if I knew they were going out on a Saturday at 10 o'clock, it'd be like, right, at 9:20, I'm going to pretend to go put something in the bin. I'm going to have my drop.
Yeah. Under bin.
It's going to be, fuck it, listen.
You've
been watching my house?
Yeah. You know how many people say that to me? They go, I watch your videos, and it's like, somebody's like, you've got a camera in the house.
Yeah.
It's because it's universal. The behaviours are universal.
It is. It's scary. It's scary how alike we all are.
It is, and we think we've been right clever and secretive.
Oh, yeah. And this is
vodka bottles in the bushes up high.
Yeah. I used to always have this, and this is how pathetic it gets. I always used to have an emergency bag in the car, and it was in the boot, and I'd have it, you know, where like your little light compartment is where you change your light bulbs.
Yeah.
I'd hide it in there, and I'd just, if I were ever clucking that bad that I'd not had some for 3-4 hours, I'd just pretend I'd left some. I'd always leave something in the boot that I had a reason to bring in the house, and I'd have a bag and a key, and it'd just be a quick,
there you go,
and straight back in. But yeah, I think it got to a stage where I knew in my heart of hearts I couldn't control it anymore. But I, as much as I knew I couldn't control it, I also knew I couldn't stop it. I felt like I'd literally lost all control. To the point where, I mean, I'd gone back to work after my stoma operation. And I spoke to a lad, obviously I won't mention his name. I spoke to a lad last week, and he were a bit like me. Obviously, we're going through some stuff, and sort of we bonded over the fact that we love cocaine.
Yeah.
And we once got paired up on a job. We were going to South Wales, and this is how disgusting addicts get, and how no fucks given about anyone or anything. I took 5 gram of flake to work with me that morning, and between me and him driving to South Wales and back again, we did the lot driving. We went to do this job, we got to South Wales, and he had to go speak to a customer for me because I couldn't speak. And I know I've literally seen one of your posts lately about how it goes, it's very transformative. I found it very transformative, your experience with cocaine, because initially when you take it, it's this fucking fantastic buzz. And then you take it, you're on top of the world, you don't shut the fuck up, you're bouncing and everybody loves you. And then fast forward 18 months, and this is exactly how I was. You can't speak, your limbs seize up. It's like everything's in slow motion.
Psychosis.
Literally. I mean, and that used to be like my favourite pastime. Just get absolutely off my nut, have an argument with her, so I'd sleep downstairs. And then I'd sit with all curtains closed, all doors closed, and I'd have my phone on charge, and I'd have every CCTV camera up on my phone, watching and any shadow you saw move, you think it's that someone trying to break into my house.
That's what you had up on for. I had fucking explicit sites up there. I one of them dodgy bastards.
But yeah, it gets you to a stage where I think for me, the stage it got to with me was I'd realised I'd had a massive argument with her again. Sort of, I tried planning it around going out. She'd come back and she'd stuck with me through thick and thin. And like, if I were her, I'd have left me 5 years ago. You know, if she were on other foot, but she stuck by me. And I think this time it really, really hit home how much I'd upset her. Like, literally, I physically watched her heartbreak at that point. And she just said, "Now, it is now or never." She went, I will keep you from these kids. I will keep you from the house. I said, unless you sort yourself out, you'll lose everything. Yeah. And I think at that point, I sort of just sat there and just cried because I realised how much this drug had stripped me fucking bare. There was nothing left of me.
Yeah.
I had no mates to speak of, really, because the ones that didn't do drugs didn't really want to have out to do with me because I was a cokehead mate that always took it too far. I'd stopped hanging around with the mates that I did take drugs with because I were a functioning addict, so I had a job and I had money and I had easy access to it, and it soon transpired that they only wanted me around because I had drugs all the time.
Yeah.
So I think it was at that point where I'd realised it had stripped me bare, and I was fed up of having no money. I was fed up of constantly wanting to kill myself because the suicidal thoughts you get, and we'll touch on this in a minute because there's almost been a bit of a turn of phrase coined from it, and I know like locally there's lads who've died as a result of what they call session depression.
Yeah.
And I think it was at that point where I just said, "Nah, enough's enough now." And I said, "I've tried kicking it before, and I've tried doing it by myself, but it's crept back in too many times.
Yeah.
Now I need professional help. Yeah. Now I actually need to go in front of a stranger and sit and say, do you know what? I can't fucking do this by myself."
Yeah.
Like I say, that's and that's how I got introduced to Joanne Wilson at Forward Leeds, who, like I say, instantly disarmed me. She was just so blasé about it. "Oh, don't worry about it, love. I were a crackhead."
Yeah.
And it was just like instantly just
Calmed you down.
disarmed. And, I were able to be honest with her and say, I used to go in once a week to begin with, and then it went to once a fortnight, and then it went to once every 3 weeks. And I suppose I was lucky in a sense that I had enough up here and in here that were enough. Yeah. But as for some people, it's not. Yeah. For some, and I suppose that's where you guys are coming in with Mean and Clean, sort of trying to bridge
that gap.
Yeah, because I imagine it'd be so easy to fall through cracks. I mean, like I say, Good Forward Leeds were a fantastic organisation for me, but I hadn't had a phone call in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 13 and a half months clean now. I mean, for all they know, I'm straight back at it.
Yeah. You have to look at, I remember being told that I went to somewhere called Turning Point, and they actually said to me, they wanted to put me on a reduction plan. And they said these words: "We don't want to get you off the drug completely because then you won't need the service." Translated, that means
don't stop using.
Don't stop using.
So that's what it says to an addict.
So we can keep you, and we can get funded for you. That is it, basically. Now, I always say I debunk the theory of reduction plans for cocaine. It
were mentioned. I remember it being mentioned in my journey, and I just found it fucking. Well, I say I found it. I did find it weird, but I do remember sitting there with my wife, sort of trying to say, "Hey, look," because I didn't want to give it up at this point, even though it was still stripping me bare.
It's a green light for you to use.
Even though I hit that rock bottom and had that rock bottom moment, don't anybody get it twisted. Yeah, I still wasn't ready to give it up.
Yeah.
And to most people who've never suffered addiction problems, it sounds fucking wild. Yeah. It's like, it's stripping you bare, you've got no money, your mental health's in toilet, you're suicidal, your kids are even cottoning onto the fact now that the dad's a fucking cokehead.
Yeah.
And you still don't want to give up, like your kids aren't enough, your wife aren't enough. No, it never is.
Sadly, they're not enough, are they?
It sounds awful, but that is the harsh truth of addiction. And like I said to you at the very start, and you've said tonight, driving through Leeds, you've driven past bars and stuff that
I want to be straight in them.
Yeah, it's like for me, it's feelings, and that's and like you're gonna think, what do you mean by feelings? Literally a couple of weeks ago, my phone never stops anyway, be it work or mates or whatever, and I'd had a fantastic day. Like, I'd had a couple of mates ringing me saying, "Oh, I've had this going on," and it's all, all good news, all good positive stuff. Tunes were bouncing on the way home. And that was it brought something back. I was like, fuck me, I couldn't half do a bag tonight. Yeah. Everyone's doing well around me. I'm feeling good. I'd love to. And it's like, it beggars belief how those feelings still creep back in after 13 months.
That never goes. Never goes. 90, like I say, 1 year, 9 months, and it's as strong. The feelings come as
Yeah.
strong, but I'm well equipped to deal with them more.
Yeah.
The feelings are always there for me, and they always will be. I know that.
Do you find yourself when you do have those feelings? And I know I do. Or that temptation's there, and you think, oh, could I? Could I get away with one? For me, I just look at what I've built for myself now.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I had something to lose then, but where I'm at now, like financially, mentally, like with all the relationships I'm not rebuilt, but rebuilding.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those relationships, you smashed to fucking smithereens.
Of course you do. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I know, like, especially now, I look and think, nah.
Yeah. Well, the way I've trained my mind now is that if I touch even a drop of the weakest alcohol on the planet, everything I've got, my business, my brotherhood with him, my missus, my kids, my health, my fitness, everything, I lose it all. As soon as that touches my lips, it's gone. The reality is, people say to me, do you think you'd be able to have a drink? Reality is, I could probably go out with missus or get a few cans in, have a drink, go to bed, and then probably not touch it again, right? Give me cocaine, different story. Next day I'm in a crack house. But, but the thing is, it's like I've sort of trained my mind to say, no, because I don't need it. Alcohol is not a necessity. And I have to work, I work on analogies, right? And we do a lot of analogies with our clients as well, because you need to help people understand it in a non-clinical sense. Yeah. So, for example, when you were talking, we were just saying, then could I just, and you've heard the term, the first one, you never get that first high again.
No.
So the way I sort of analogize that, if that's even a word, analogize, I don't know, but the way I look at it,
word, it
is.
And listen, if it's not a word in dictionary, it fucking ought to be.
It is now.
It's in the meaning clean dictionary.
But the way I look at it is, you need to look at your relationship with cocaine and drugs and alcohol as an abusive, toxic relationship.
Yeah.
We've all been in a relationship that was just filled with shit and drama, right? Or we've gone through a point of his relationship, even with current partner we're now, we've all gone through a stage, a point, haven't we, where it's been quite toxic or it's been volatile.
Yeah.
So you've got to think, when you separate from that person, time will pass and you're in a better place. And it's normally when you're in a better place that your guard comes down and you go, you know what, I wonder how they're doing, right? And I love a piece of that pie again.
Yeah.
I love to go back, right? And things might seem sweet and rosy for a day or two, but then ultimately you just go back to where you left off. That's the same with cocaine. I played a scenario in my head the other day because I was pissed off with something. I was pissed off and I thought, just go get fucking. And I was texting him and I was saying, I've never wanted to just go get on it as much. With money I've got now, with fucking freedom I've got of time and everything, let me just go get on it, right?
Yep.
And I played it out in my head. And I wouldn't have gone and just got a little bag. I would have.
No, you'd have gone balls deep.
I'd have been fucking guiding shipping on the English Channel, like, just park it here, mate. Do you know what I mean? And give me it. I'd have been like that. Like, it would have been, I would have
Biblical.
done it to the death.
Yeah.
Right? That's so that's what I mean, where you always start where you leave. You pick up where you left off, always. And for me, it's really a case of, right, I always tell people, you get to a certain point of your recovery in sobriety and you went to what's called no man's land, right? And I bet you've been there, right? Where you want to use. Yeah, you want to use, right? You want to use, but someone won't let you do it.
Yep.
Right? So you can't, if you go to the left, you go into the shop, you go into the pub. You go to the right, you go home, or you go to the gym. You can't move. You just have to just sit still.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because
just freeze.
You want to do it, but you've got to that point now where you know what you've got to lose.
Yeah.
Like everything. And I think the big thing that is not spoke about is, you've got your 12 steps and all that kind of stuff and everything, and, loads of different sort of clinical aspects of recovery. But for me, the way we've done it, and by the way, we've had, since January 2024, we've helped over 1,000 people overcome substance and addiction
Fantastic,
issues.
mate. That's some achievement.
Through a blueprint of identify where your rock bottom moment was. Who do you want to become? Build a vision and an image of yourself. Let's put a plan in place and work towards that every single day.
Yeah.
Right? And you've got to be honest throughout the process. Right? So the way we structure it with Mean and Cleans, we will give them personalised recovery plans. You know, we'll get to know about their past traumas. We'll get to know what time they get up for work, what time the dinner break is, what time they have the morning shit, everything.
Yeah.
And we structure a plan around their day, you know, whilst giving them 24-hour access to myself and Jody, right? But they can only call us when they feel like they need to use.
Yeah.
We say, don't call us once you've used because you're just going to end up chatting shit down phone for hours. And we ain't down for that. Do you know what I mean?
We did enough of that ourselves.
We actually sleep now. You know what I mean? So we do that. Nutrition plans, everything, supplementation plans, one-to-one personal training sessions with Jody. And then if that right fit and they stay sober for 6 months on program, we'll offer them a job with us. You know, to get people that have been at rock bottom back into work helping other people.
That's brilliant.
You'll know yourself. When, you know, somebody helped you. It's now your duty to pass it on to the next guy somehow.
Yeah, and I spoke with my counsellor Joanne Wilson about this a number of times. I quickly found another obsession. So I've always been into fashion. Like I've always had a really mad natty dress sense. Like never really given a fuck. Like not bothered about what everybody else is wearing. If I like now, I've got some eye tops with bright yellow socks underneath, and it's like that's me. So I sort of channeled my energy at the time into building a retro fashion business, which has gone from strength to strength, and obviously in the process found Matt and Sid, who obviously directors of All Star. And, you know, sort of started doing odd little jobs for him. This were all in my sort of in-between period, like you say, in no man's land. Yep. Try to keep yourself busy, because if I'm not busy, I'm using. Or there's the temptation to use. And through there, you know, I've just said to Matt, you know, let me come through the door. I've done media work before. I've been done TV, I've done radio. You know, there's not much I can't do. You know, I'm a pretty adept guy. I can turn me on to anything. Yeah, I'm an all-rounder. Just, you know, even if you bring me in and pay me 10 quid an hour, you know, and you give me 10 hours a week, just let me get my foot through the door. Let me show you what I can do. And, you know, I've spoken to Joanne. I've said, look, this is what I've built for myself in 12 months.
Right there, I'll just stop you there, right? 12 months, I bang on about the 12 months of recovery. Right? I always say, daughter Jod, life knows, right? Recovery, it's a bright higher power, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It knows when you start taking shit serious, right?
Yeah.
And it will give you this time frame. I say 12 months, right? It will give you 12 months to prove what you're worth, right? So for me, this is why I wanted to document everything with Jody when I approached Jody, and I explained what had happened. I says, help me. And I told him what I wanted to do. And then from the moment I made that decision, it was like I saw everything, and back me up on this. Everything that I said would happen with Mean and Clean, everything has happened.
Everything has happened.
Everything. Right?
Yeah.
From day 5, 6 of being sober, still looking like a skeleton, you know, I've lost my weight, my beard's overgrown. I'm saying to him, we're going to be guests on podcasts. We're going to be winning awards. We're going to be doing this. We're going to help all these people. And at the time, he didn't know if I was still going to relapse. So he's like,
I thought it was,
all right then.
No, I thought it was still on bag. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like,
but I'm like, fucking
can I do a test?
I'm like Nostradamus, mate. I'm like, I'm telling you now, this shit's going to happen.
Yeah.
It is going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? And every single thing has happened. And in the 12 months, like I said, been able to build, like, we only started this as like a podcasting.
It was,
you know, a podcast channel.
Podcast, that's all we did. We didn't, then we put, we got 1 + 1 and then got 3, and we were like, right, let's
roll with it.
Using my knowledge as a personal trainer and nutritionist, my experiences through like sport, I've done a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Putting that into a positive thing. Marcus daily setup plans, food, nutrition, ring us if you need us, and we just gradually, brick by brick, built it to
where you are now.
Where it is, and it's we believe it's still just the start.
And I think there is an element like with you guys, Yorkshire lads. there's an element of trust in a Yorkshire accent.
Yeah, I think
so when you get two Yorkshire lads talking about being on bag,
yeah,
you know, in a relatable way,
yeah,
like people like that,
yeah,
you know, and people reached out to us.
yeah, and I think I touched on it sort of fairly early on in podcast that, you know, I've wanted you guys on from beginning because I do genuinely admire what you've done, and it were really, and this is something I want to touch on with you both actually. Obviously, your content massively helped me because we all know Facebook and whatever listens to you, and you know whatever you end up talking about, it ends up appearing on your, you know, on your news feed. Yeah, and I think at the time I was probably about 8 to 10 weeks in, and I started seeing obviously your content, and there's very, very little relatable sobriety content out there that's as honest as what you put out. And I'm talking about the sort of the more nuanced stuff that only people with drug addictions or drug problems will understand.
Yeah.
So it's like some of, like, you know, obviously we talk. There's the general sort of thing, isn't there? Whereas, you know, you get on bag, you end up in someone's kitchen, you end up fucking making business plans and all that.
Yeah.
But you guys touch on the more nuanced stuff, like the feelings that you come under, and talk to me a little bit about the social media stuff because it's massive now. I mean, what are you up to follower wise now on TikTok?
We're around the same as you guys, so about 68, 69k
on Facebook.
On Facebook,
22 on TikTok.
about 22, 23 TikTok.
Yeah, when it was Facebook I first discovered you on, and obviously you're well known for the break the cycle. That's kind of your tagline that you end every video with, and obviously a lot of your content is so relatable, and I found it more so because you don't just talk about those that are at rock bottom. You're talking about those who maybe aren't even quite there yet. Yeah. Like, you know, have you got a mate who, you know, used to do it for once a month, or and then now it's once a week, and it's like, talk to us a little bit about the social media side of things. What's the reception been like?
Well, you're gonna get knobheads on everything, aren't you?
Yeah,
Whatever
unfortunately.
You know what I mean? Like I say, we get shit. We get like because he were a fat alcoholic and I was a skinny cracker, right? And now because we're both in shape, we're you know, we apparently we're roid heads and all that kind of stuff. So you can't do right from doing wrong. But for us, I think it's seeing people's comments, such as, you know, I put a video on this morning.
The one today, I seen it straight away. That video has just stopped me from relapsing.
Yeah, this video right now has just stopped me from relapsing.
That must be. You must read that and be absolutely. That must give you more of a buzz than doing a fucking.
It gave me an I don't know. I didn't. Video. He did it.
But literally, we went to York, didn't we? We met some clients and people that work with us now from in Mean and Clean. We went to York, and we were walking through German market bit, and this bloke just come up and he went, Mean and Clean. I said, all right, pal. He went, you've played a massive part in saving my life. And everybody around me were just like, wow. And for my missus to be there and see that, that were big. She knows, like, kind of a big deal in recovery world now, but I did say, didn't I? I says, I'll be one of the biggest faces in the world when it comes to recovery. But I thought, but there's all these people and there's them people, and I thought, don't think about them.
Don't think
about me.
Else.
Nobody is me, and nobody's him, and nobody's Mean and Clean. And this is it. And the way we did it, the way we made up the logo,
available on the website,
which is very
cheeky plug there, of course,
which is very biker-esque.
Yeah,
you know, there's a lot of subliminal meanings in that if you look closely. But I'm not going to that. But yeah, I think with social media, we just started talking about his days.
We're just like. So Sunday morning, isn't it nice to wake up without a hangover? Normally I'd have been probably drinking right now. Kids would have been let down. They were going to the park, but they're not because I'm in bed. You know, it was just stuff like that. And then it were mainly your. I think the one was the first recovery one.
Recovery video, yeah.
2.5 million views.
2.3.
It has now.
Yeah.
2.5 million.
And
now.
it just went bang, 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 and then we had people from all over. Everywhere getting in touch. It were ridiculous. Shared to different countries.
Mad.
It were but we kind of knew it were going to happen, didn't we?
We did,
but
yeah.
we didn't expect it to happen that quick.
Yeah.
Whether you want to call that law of attraction, when you're so zoned in to what you want and you have an idea of how you're going to achieve it.
Yeah.
And that video was just like the lucky sperm cell that broke through, mate. Bang, created this big baby. And you know, social media is a powerful tool. We looked at it as a way, obviously, we are business driven as well, because we've had no money before. Yeah. And now we want to make money. And people sometimes try to demonize us because we do charge for the program that we run. But at the end of the day, go demonize your drug dealer.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You're not going to demonize him, are you? No, because you'll probably get your windows put through. If you're obesely, you know, if you're morbidly overweight, are you going to go demonize a personal trainer?
Yeah.
Because of his experience that is going to help you lose that weight. Right? We gave up our careers, you know,
to do what you're doing.
To do what we're doing, right? And at a price of £200 a month, when you would blow that a day on gear,
easily.
Right?
Easily.
And you're getting 24 hours access to myself and that man there's time. Do you know what I mean?
And we always think at a price, are you going to invest in your recovery?
Or
is there a question mark? Or are you going to invest in your drug addiction?
Yeah.
If you're serious, then we know what you'll do. And we know that serious people will come over. Not everybody can do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's part and parcel of life. You know, some people will be addicts for the rest of their life. Some people won't, you know, and that's what we've found a lot of, you know, as many people as we've helped, which is in the thousands, there's some that they just cannot do it or they're not ready. Yeah. And that's a big thing. Yeah, if you're not ready, you know, for me, I had to be ready. It had to be, recovery had to be for me, not for my wife, not for my kids, not for my other family. It was for me. I had, like you touched on earlier, you weren't quite ready. You didn't feel that you said,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
but
absolutely.
you've got to be, you have got to want this. You've got to be asked, what do you want? I want to be sober.
Yeah.
And you need to be prepared as well to accept the video I did today, that supposedly...
The good, the bad and the ugly.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
I watched the video.
Is it. It is literally, you have to accept that, you know, there's this perception, and I thought I'd touch on it because... I am guilty for banging on about, like Jody said, life is in high definition when you get clean and sober, but so are your fucking problems. Yeah. They're also in high definition.
Because we can't mask them.
Your debts are in high definition now.
Yeah.
Because you can't ignore them.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
And listen, most addicts will probably be in a similar position where, I'm 13 and a bit months sober, but I'm still paying for bad financial decisions. Exactly. My credit rating's still in fucking toilet. Because I were... You know, I blitzed every overdraft and credit card I had, stopped paying certain bills and, you know, to fund. But the one thing I did want to touch on that sort of triggered something, when you said about £200 a month now, you view money you view money differently when you're an addict. You don't see... I wouldn't have said... 12 months ago, if you would have said the word £200, I wouldn't have thought, you know, two lots of 520s sat on the table.
Yeah.
I'd have thought 2 bags, 200 bags. And it changes
how much she could use, how much I'd get you.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Yeah. It's money with drug tokens. It wasn't money.
Yeah.
It wasn't money. It were drug tokens, and it completely changes how you see everything in the world. Yeah. And it's frightening how it can change your aspect on that. But going back to the social media side of things, so do you find that you're getting people now on a daily basis coming through and saying, you know, it's helped and...
Yeah.
We all his videos get comments. Obviously, we get some shit ones, but we don't care.
Yeah, we give shit back.
Yeah, we give shit.
Yeah, guys. If you like a bit of shithousery, these two are fucking experts at it.
Yeah,
like
we're not here to be professional. Do you know what I mean?
It's called mean.
It's called mean and clean for a reason.
Saying we're hard or all like
that. Somebody put something other day about, because I turned 30 other week, and somebody put something on there saying, you're definitely still on it. So I replied with, your mum were on it last night. And I thought, I am not here to come across as professional.
No.
I am here to spit facts at you. Do you know what I mean? And people, I've had people message me before saying, you know, yeah, you're swearing and stuff like that. I don't know if it's going to attract clients. I'm like, listen,
It's real.
I'm trying to attract drug addicts that want to change their lives.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to attract, the royal family, which probably some drug addicts in there, but
No,
I'm not.
There probably is.
Yeah, I'm not trying to attract, prim and proper people.
Yeah.
I'm trying to attract people that whatever I'm saying on a video is not half as vulgar as what's going through their mind when they're 3 gram deep. Believe me.
Yeah.
So whatever I say is it's just touching their soul a little bit, so they know this guy's, because we all know we can smell a scam a mile away when somebody's acting prim and proper. They're over pronouncing and they've been very articulate with the words and stuff like that. But when I'll come on, a middle finger fuck you tattoo there. And I'm like, sometimes you have to be a bit aggressive with getting the message across to people by saying, look, you're a young lad, you've got everything in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're picking a bunch of dossers over the woman that's given birth to your child, gone through thick and thin with you, right? Keeps you in that house, right? You're a scumbag mush. And it touches a nerve with some people.
Yeah.
Because they're like...
Get defensive, don't they?
They're like, I'm not a scumbag. Well, just by saying you're not a scumbag, you've just admitted you've got a problem.
Yeah. That's touching a nerve with you.
It has. And that might be the first time they've just admitted they've got a drug problem. Because they're in defence about something. They're getting defensive about something.
Yeah, and I think it's... Obviously, we're touching back on what you said about the good, the bad and the ugly. I don't necessarily think... I don't always view stuff like this, like what we're doing now, as the good. Yes, there is good in it, but this to me is also the ugly side of drug addiction, is having to sit here and we're doing it for the right reasons. Yeah. We're doing it to raise awareness and to show people. Or certainly from my point of view, I want to show people that you might think your life's in the toilet. You might be doing 5 gram of flake a day. You might have got yourself in all sorts of... you might think you're too far gone. And I'd be lying if I said there weren't countless times. And it means I'm talking fucking tens, maybe hundreds of times where I've just thought, I'm better off dead.
Yeah.
Just better off. If I... there's something gratifying about it, but in the same way, this is the bad side of it, is... I will live with that shame forever. Yeah. I'll always use it and try and help people, and I'll always be more than happy to tell my story. But that's kind of one of the bad sides for me, is that I've even got this story to tell. Yeah.
You know what? I think
it's character building for sure.
It is, but I try to tell people that, look, use it as a superpower, right? Would I, if I had the chance to take away that addiction, if I could turn back time and take that addiction away, would I do it? No. Because I wouldn't be where I am now. Wouldn't be having this conversation. Yeah. Hundreds of thousands of people can see this podcast. This is going to go on the internet. This is going to be there forever. Yeah. Right? This could save in 20, 30, 40, 50 years' time, this could save some geezer's life.
Absolutely.
Right? So, do I regret some things that I did during addiction? Absolutely. Yeah. Right? Absolutely. Right? Disgusted by it. But do I regret being an addict? No, because the one thing I always said, look, I've got no university education, no degrees. I can only count to F. And it's like,
you always get
what do I do? What do I do? Like I'm not.
What's your purpose?
Yeah. What is my purpose? And I thought it would be part of an outlaw motorcycle club and being a gangster and having an hard man reputation and doing all these kind of things. I thought it was that, and then life basically said, like, right, you want to get to this, you want your own business, you want to help people, so you want your own business, you want to help people, you want to be an athlete, you want to be a family man, you want to have a strong relationship that's unbreakable, right? The universe or God or whatever you believe in don't just hand you that. You've got to work for it.
100%.
So I got thrown into everything where I lost my missus, left the club, right, and lost my missus on the same day. My life went from being so chaotic to quiet.
So you lost 2 families all at once then?
Yeah, and the only thing that were left for me were the drugs.
Yeah.
Right? And that's when it got worse and worse and worse. And then when the money started going and the money were basically gone, I've never stolen and I knew I'd never steal. So I was like, that's not an option. So my thing would be borrow money and not pay it back. So I guess it is kind of stealing.
You get drug addicts are the best people. Listen, they should find like a job for ex-addicts in government extracting money, because I've never ever met an addict that isn't good at spinning a story to borrow a few quid.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
that's why we employ them.
That's why we bring them on. It's all strategic, isn't it? Yeah. Why do we employ ex-addicts? Because number one, right, they have got real life experience, and number two, they can sell fucking ice to Eskimos.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? It's just
if you had a used car dealership full of ex-addicts, I tell you what, between them they'd sell fucking 500 cars a day.
Yeah, they would. I mean, look at Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Look at that. Look at how successful he was, but it was also his demise. Success can be your demise.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, man. I think people like that, you always tend to find you've got people that are highly ambitious and they've got all these qualities, but they have to hit a rock bottom, or they have to earn what they really want.
Yeah.
What it is they really want. So now I went through all of that, and I'm in the best place I've ever been. I've now got the life going into my 30s that I wanted in my 20s, right? And it's like, I think...
Do you sometimes think to yourself, what a fucking knobhead, I could have had this 10 years ago?
No. In a way, you know what? I've stopped...
like chastising yourself.
Yeah, I've stopped wishing that I'd have done things sooner, because mean and clean wouldn't have been about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If I'd never picked up a drug,
that right set of circumstances wouldn't have just fallen.
This podcast wouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Everything, it wouldn't have happened. So you kind of have to look at it as a blessing, but people don't understand that it can be your biggest blessing. And I hate this thing that some support groups do, where you go in and you sit there and you just talk about the bad. Right?
And how sorry you are for
there's
everything.
no action plan on how to move forward.
Yeah.
There's no who do you want to become. And the ideology that somebody else is going to keep you sober, I just don't, for me, that's not...
Yeah, so Forward Leads were brilliant with me, and they said, look, these are all the resources that we can point you in the direction of. Now, I don't know if this just is my cynical logic or what, but I thought, right, I've got a problem with cocaine. Massive problem with cocaine. I know, I'll go sit in a room with fucking 15 other people who've got a massive problem with cocaine. I don't, they'd call me cynical. I don't think that would be the right place for me.
You are the people you spend the most time with.
Yes. Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Exactly, 1,000,000%.
We say that all the time.
Input determines your output.
Yep.
That is it.
And I just thought at the time, there is absolutely no way I'm going to sit in that room of 12, 15, 10 other cocaine addicts, and I'm going to think, if one of them says, I've had a bit of a bad week this week, I'm instantly like that. He's got a bag in his pocket. I want a bit.
So
I thought, not for me.
I'm quite intrigued to run. I think about this all the time, and I want to experiment with this. Take 2 addicts, put one in an AA meeting, right? And monitor them. Put one in an AA meeting, one in a circle of successful people that have got nothing to do with recovery.
Yep.
Right? People that are health-centred, money-centred, very driven and focused.
Successful people.
Very successful people, right? Take the 2 addicts, put them both into one circle each.
And see
who comes out better. I can guarantee you now, the guy who goes to the fucking 12-step meeting won't.
I've said this from day one. Like, part of my recovery was cutting myself off from people who might sound snobby, it might sound blunt, but I'll say it as it is. I had no ambition.
That's it.
These people were just coasting. We're happy, admitting they had, I had mates who got problems, probably still have. Don't know, because I've distanced myself.
Yep.
And I've said to loads of people, don't you think it's weird how I started surrounding myself with all these successful people, not in different things, successful in business, successful just, you know, in all different aspects of their life. And look where my life's ended up.
Yeah.
100%.
There will be multiple people in your life that are successful in different areas to the other one.
Yeah,
and all
absolutely.
of them traits have rubbed off on you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's done with me. But when you were talking about social media and stuff before, just to go back, we have had the thing of people becoming obsessed with us. Yes. Like, obsessed. Really obsessed.
Like unhealthily.
Like on a consult. So we do consultations. Marcus does Tuesday, Thursdays. I do Monday, Wednesdays. So we'll get a consultation, and they can book it on the website, and they can book it with Marcus or Jody. And you do get people saying, "Am I really speaking to Jody, or am I really speaking to Marcus?" And you're like, "Yeah." And we're just like,
yeah, why?
Why? You know, yeah. Oh, it's Mean and Clean. There's two of us, and my wife. She'll kill me. She works in the background. But yeah, and we do, and we're like, can you believe that? And like, one of the biggest ones I had was a kid who's on the program now from Australia.
Yeah, from Australia.
He's in Australia.
Yeah.
Wow.
Message. They emailed and said, "Hi, time difference. I'm in Australia. Can we still do a consultation?" I said, "Not a problem." I said, and we made it for a time. I think it was 9 a.m. I rang. He was just going to bed, and we got him signed up, and he's on the program, and he lives in Australia. You know, and that's how far
reaching it is.
How far we've gone with it. You know?
So, in terms of Mean and Clean, then where do you both see the future for Mean and Clean? How do you want to expand it? Where do you see it in 5 years' time?
We want wellness centres.
See, we knew this, right? So tell him the story of the wolf.
Yes. So again, I thought it would on bag. He messaged me at 2:30 in the morning, picture of a wolf. He went, "What do you think?" And I went, "It's a wolf." What? Yeah, Mean and Clean. I was like, right, yeah, I'm still, go on, keep going. Keep going. I thought, no, he ain't on bags, he's not talking enough. And he just, what about like doing a podcast and about our experiences and stuff like that? And I went, yeah, let's do it. So we got a mug each. Like, podcast.
Do you know what? You've literally jumped one step ahead of us. We haven't even got mugs yet. I really need to invest.
but I photoshopped the logo onto like a building sign just to show him how good the logo looks on different things.
Look at this.
So it was like I was visualising it.
Yeah.
At 2:30 in the morning, laid in bed, you know, and I seen it all there. The clothing, I designed the clothing, everything. I already got the Facebook and the Instagram page up and running before he even agreed to it. It was like, right, I'm just letting you know we're doing this. But I always wanted to do something like that, right? And I could have gone and done that on my own.
Yeah.
But I'm a very loyal person. The man saved my life. And it was like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him as well. So I said to him, we're going to go in, we'll go 50-50 on it, like 100%. And when you meet that person who's just literally bang.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's it. Like, you can't stop them. Like,
it took off, didn't it? It took off
massively.
Like, and how I always did, I don't know whether he likes it or not, but this is how I describe me and Marcus. I'm Mr. Miyagi, and he'll fight every fucker, and I'll just sit there going, the wise man said, you know.
Listen,
you know
I think sometimes, especially in business partnerships, it's when you've got two completely different sort of energies.
We're similar in our, well, as mindsets are pretty much identical. If we want something, we'll get it, no matter what. Like an addict does when they want a drug, they'll get it. You know, impulsive. These skills can come into life. Everyone who's got addiction, you can do it into life as well. But it works really well because, like, if somebody's, I'm okay with confrontation sometimes, but sometimes I'm just like, I can just shrink. you do that one, and then I'll do this and that. But it does work really well, and like we said,
and that's it. I mean, but people have seen what we've done. They're inspired, right? Like there's loads of little, competition companies popping up left, right, and centre that try to follow like what you guys do, and other big companies as well that also do it. It's not a bad thing, but the way we look at it, I mean, we've had people on our programme that have liked what we've done and they've tried to
emulate it,
right? My rule is, listen, don't piss on me back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you've got 2 people here that will guide you for life, whether you're a paying client or not. You know, once you do the process, we will look after you for life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But we've had people do that. You know, we've had people, you know, try slaters and all this kind of stuff, and at the end of the day, we've just got to a point now where we're just that big and that well known. It's like nobody can quite get it how we've got it, and they don't realise, like, there's all these different, you know, these different influencers popping up now that are spouting about recovery and addiction because they've watched our videos, and you know, and they're getting WhatsApp groups up and running. They try to emulate what we've done, and they're saying to me, "Can I have advice on how to start up doing what you're doing?" You're never going to give your full blueprint away, but
no, and I think probably a lot of what makes Mean and Clean work as well as it does is you two.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, you know, someone could try and this is like, you know, you've used that analogy about competition sites. Yeah, you know, we say all the time, like, imitation is the best form of flattery.
Of course it is.
You know, someone's trying to do what you're doing, but you know, there's never going to be. We say it about us. There'll be competition sites, but there'll never be
you.
You know, what makes All Star? It's, you know, it's Matt, it's Sid, it's me, it's our sort of unique brand of humour. You know, it's us pissing about on a Wednesday night on live draws, and you know, like, again, like, people could try and emulate it all you want, but part of the reason we're so successful is the group of people that make it successful.
That's
People don't understand as well. Like, I do actually take the time out to educate these people that want to, because I can either help them. I can most certainly help somebody grow a set of balls to go on camera and talk about their journey.
Yeah.
But when they want to do what we've done, I say, do you realise that
The work involved.
you have now a duty of care towards that person, their kids, their partner.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be in contact with their GPs. You need to be in contact with social services if you need to be. You know, you have to write probation officer reports, court report, like everything to judges.
Not just
solicitor.
about chatting on a video. You know, obviously the program is in depth. It's, you know, we're looking after a lot of people. You know, and people don't see that. They just see us on the videos, and you know, we get slayed and we get. But what we do get is we've got a very loyal following that just argue it for us.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, and that, do you know what? That's exactly the same as us. Occasionally, we get the odd knobhead on a post that, you know, oh, fucking scam this, I've never won a thing, and it's like bang, barrage, like, of all your loyal followers, all your loyal supporters.
Yeah. See, I can't even. I'm normally one of them that'd say this is a scam, but we actually won something from All Star.
Yes, I remember having this. We had this conversation when we spoke on phone, didn't we?
It was a PS5 digital, and we were gonna keep it. Right, my missus made sure that I tell you this, because we were going to keep it a secret from his little lad Diago. And whoever dropped it off went, "Is this for you, little man?" And he's seen it, and he was like,
"Yeah!"
So, yeah, buzz in. And I'm like, right.
Thanks, All Star.
Yeah, I'm like, where have you put that PS5? She's like, he's already seen it. I'm like, fuck's sake. But yeah, I mean, but my missus is pretty lucky with all that kind of stuff, you know, like jumping on stuff and winning instant wins and all that kind of stuff, and but it's never. I don't even know I know how to work 2p machines, man, at Blackpool. That's as far as I go without like that. You know, but
do you know what? We're massively grateful that All Star Prizes is where it's at in its journey, because the money that we're making has helped us to set up this podcast.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, we invest a lot of money back into charitable stuff. So, like, Christmas just gone, I think the final bill came to about £14,000 that we spent on toys, chocolates, all the rest of it. So again, it's a big part of what we do is giving back. And again, this podcast, we started this podcast, we could have quite easily, between the contact list that we've got between us, had, you know, ex-gangsters, sports stars, all the rest of it on. And we said from day dot, this podcast needs to be about real people with real stories that are going to make a real impact. Yeah. But speaking of making a real impact, Yorkshire Choice Awards.
Yeah, man.
We'll be there.
Yeah, I know, noticed.
So we can have a little. Are you going?
Of course.
Oh yeah, we're there. We're
Listen,
tables booked.
yeah,
Yeah, boom.
Well, I shall be there.
Well, to be honest,
which category is it you've been nominated in? Just for anybody who's
new start a business.
new starter business. They're not going against us, so
Yeah,
you can definitely vote for him. New
I
starter
very quickly
business,
checked.
York's Choice
I
Awards.
very quickly checked to make sure we wanted the same category. But like I say, for the year, just over a year we've been going now, right? To achieve what we have done, not just personally together, as business partners in recovery, as brothers together, and as families, and all these other people that we've helped, and we've helped clients on program, start businesses that are now making like £10,000 to £20,000 a month just through one-to-one mentoring with us, and people getting ready for bodybuilding shows or competing in high rocks like we do, and all that kind of stuff. And we only want to make it bigger. So our vision, you asked earlier where we see this going.
Yeah.
And what we want to do from day dot, we said we want wellness centres. We want to have a place specifically for recovering addicts, right? Or people that are trying to maintain the journey of sobriety, where they can go. There's a gym in there, there's saunas in there, there's talking rooms in there.
Cafe
we would employ, because we do get a lot of people that have drug problems that are autistic, and they've got a lot of social anxiety, and they can't leave the house and everything. They don't fit into normal society, but that's all they want. They take it because they want to fit in and be able to have a conversation.
They want to feel normal.
So it's like, right, we'll give you a job. Come work with us in a cafe. Come do this. Just something small and build them that way. Do you know what I mean? So, and we want to have one in every major UK city within the next 10 years. Right, and it's completely down to individual where they go. We've had conversations with NHS and everything like that, and to sort of partner up with them and all this kind of stuff. And it's,
what do the NHS think about your approach? Because obviously it's not anti-clinical, is it? But it's completely sort of. If you look at the standard sort of blueprint, it's. If someone goes to a GP and says I'm a drug addict, it's kind of like It's all very robotic. It's not. I think what the NHS struggle with is drug addiction treatments and recovery. It's not one size fits all. There's not one. What works for one person is going to be the other person's idea of fucking hell. Like I said, for some people, going and sitting in a room with 12 other addicts talking about would work for them, and it might change their lives. And if it does, fair play to them. For me, I thought, fuck that, not a chance.
I mean, we've got some people that are professionals in certain areas at NHS that may have opinions on what we do, but that's exactly the same as. For example, if somebody goes to GP with bad mental health and they get a leaflet and say, go to Andy's Man Club, right? A psychologist or a counsellor, a therapist might say, well, that's pissing up my back. You're going to send them to a support group. Yeah. It's similar sort of thing with us, but the real experts are the ones that have been through it and survived
and lived it.
Yeah, they've got the blueprint, not what studies show.
Yeah.
Right? Real life experience. This is what that shows.
And is that what people can expect if they were to come to you? If anyone's watching this thinking, fucking hell, I've struck a few chords, these lads, tonight, and I think they might be able to help me. Just for anybody that might be thinking, you're picking up phone or dropping an email to you guys, it is very much a tailored approach to that person, isn't it?
Very tailored, yeah. Yeah, we have an in-depth conversation with them, find out about what environmental settings, what triggers, what sort of jobs they're doing, what family situations they are, and then we put together a plan that will suit them.
And it's not just, I think one of the key things I've taken away from the social media stuff, it's not just you guys supporting that individual, it's supporting everybody around them as well, because this is what a lot of people don't get, is the drug addiction doesn't just affect that one person, it affects the partner who's trying to support them, it affects the kids who've been having money taken out of their fucking mouths because the dad's a drug addict, and the mum who's constantly worried about is she going to find her son dead.
Well, we with Vix, like my wife that said, she's part of the team. She runs a support group for partners. What's included in the program. So if the partner wants to, or the mum, don't have to live with the partner. If the mum, if somebody wants to be in that WhatsApp group as well, alongside, so they're sort of in it together. They get to sort of learn how us as recovering addicts, however you want to say it there, work, and how it feels to be on the other side. You know, the coping mechanisms for the person that's sitting up all night waiting for their husband or wife to come home because they haven't. You know, and we try and touch sort of every area with people and the partners. Yeah,
so it is really an all-encompassing service, and like you say, you try to stop anybody from falling through those cracks.
That's it, and it, you know, there's other aspects to it. Some people need a plan. Some people have got everything in their life pretty narrowed down, apart from this one thing, you know, and they just want help with a structured recovery plan.
Yeah,
you know, and the mentorship. And that's fine, but some people, for myself, I wouldn't be able to do a 12-step program simply because I need something outside of recovery to focus on. I need an external goal to work towards that I know I have to be clean and sober for.
Yeah.
You know, if I told you now, don't think about an elephant, you're thinking about a fucking elephant. Exactly, there you go. There's an elephant there. Right, there you go. Right, Houdini shit. Right, but that's it. And it goes back to the meetings and all that kind of stuff. When you are just focusing on it all the time, it's like, how do you ever escape it? So you need to think outside the box. You need to think long term. There is nothing wrong with wanting better for yourself. You know, there's nothing wrong with aiming to make hundreds of thousands a year or win competitions. Absolutely. And if you chase that shit, right, you will be in such a better place than you are. Because, look, we have two options, right? We can use as past and everything we've been through as, you know, a way to keep us in a state of being a victim and, you know, we're ill. For starters, I don't look at addiction as a disease. I don't look at it as an illness. I look at it as something we had a choice in the beginning, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think we've all had a choice in the beginning.
But it depends how you look at that. At addiction, if you look at it as an illness, right? If you sit there and tell yourself you are ill, you are ill, you are ill, your body will believe that. Yeah. It will be ill, right? That is keeping you in a comfort zone, in a state of, you know, being a victim, whether you know it or not. But self-talk is so important. I won't let anybody tell me I'm ill. You're sick, you live with the disease. I'll say no. I've got this fucking superpower, mate. And I channel it. You watch, right? You watch where this goes, right? Everything me and that man there have said that we're going to do, we've done, right? And that's because...
And you know what? You've just, when we touched on where Mean and Clean's going to be in the next 10 years, and you said you want wellness centres, sitting here in front of you, mate, I absolutely fucking believe you. Absolutely believe you. And you know what? I hope to God it happens.
Yeah.
I don't, but there again, I genuinely just get that vibe with you. I don't even need to hope. I know it's going to happen.
Yeah, we do, but it's a very
convoluted process.
Yeah, it is because it's all self. Well, it's sort of like it's funded through the business.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
We've not asked for anything, any help whatsoever.
Not asked for any,
just us.
Yeah, no, like loans or no, you know. No GoFundMe's or anything like that, which we were going to do for his first one. We're going to set up a GoFundMe and say we're going to take like an old abandoned barn and say, you know, this is what we want to do. But we were like, no, let's just not, you know, you have to go at a slow, steady pace in the beginning. You can't run before you can walk, but we are at that point now where it's like...
You're ready to start sprinting.
We have to do it, but it's still sort of not quite there yet. We just need that push to get there, but it will happen.
Absolutely, mate, and just keep manifesting and...
Oh, 1,000,000%.
And it will happen. But yeah, so Yorkshire Choice Awards coming up. You've been nominated for that, so we'll be there. We'll be there together. Yeah, man. Have a lemonade together.
Yep.
But yeah, listen, boys, thank you so much for coming on, for speaking so candidly about your past, your present, and your futures.
Thank you for having us.
I hope everybody at home found it interesting. Certainly, if you found that anything we discussed tonight touched a chord, maybe you think, is that me? You know, could that be me in a couple of months' time if I don't deal with a certain problem that you think might not be a problem, or listen, speak to these guys, watch some of the social media content. Just for anybody, what your Twitter? Sorry, not your Twitter handles. How old do I sound? Twitter. It's not even called Twitter anymore. What an old man.
His website's meanandclean.uk. Yeah. Facebook is just Mean and Clean. Yeah. And so is
TikTok's Mean and Clean UK. Instagram's at Mean and Clean UK.
Right, I just know Facebook.
Yeah, that's that. And then we're on YouTube X. as well. Yeah. No, we're not on. We're not on.
Oh, you're not on that one.
No, I just. It's too much. It's too much running live.
Yeah, I know the feeling. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for coming on, Jody. I massively appreciate it. Same to you, Marcus. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in at home. Don't forget, make sure you head over to the website allstarprizes.co.uk. Keep buying your tickets so that we can keep making stuff like this happen. Until the next time, I'll see you soon.